Okay, we're gonna organize some books and also kind of go over the books as we go. This is my comic book section. These are coloring books and then issues of comics that I only read a couple of them. I end up buying books more than I have comic book issues just because it's so hard to keep up with them and when they come out. Okay, that's that organized a little bit. Let's put these together. Batgirl. I got really into Batgirl comics a couple of years ago, and then I never got past the third one. So, this is Betty and Veronica Vixen. This is basically a motorcycle gang. They form a motorcycle gang, and Betty and Veronica from the Archie comics start a motorcycle gang, and they go around and beat up men. So, my kind of comic. Let's see, Buffy. We got Giant Days. This is a graphic novel if you like kind of mundane, cartoon-esque adventures. It's just a lot of fun. They're really funny. I think there's like 12 out now. I have 6. I think I'm going to start getting them from the library just because graphic novels are so expensive. I have Harley Quinn. I was super into Harley Quinn, but I have the problem where I get into one of the series and then they come out with like a reboot of it. And so then I have to start buying those again. So I just have the first issue of like every reboot that they come out with for Harley Quinn. And then Hawkeye. Hawkeye is my absolute favorite. As you can probably tell just by the number that I have. But my favorite comic of all time is Hawkeye, My Life as a Weapon. It's so good. It has a lot of deaf representation in it. There's an issue that's completely in sign language in one of these. It's just really good. It paints Hawkeye in a completely different light than the movies do. At the Center of Earth, it's an autobiographical novel, graphic novel, and it seems a little depressing, so I haven't read it all the way yet. Next is Life is Strange. This is a video game series that came out a while ago. I think they're coming out with a new one actually pretty soon. But this is basically, there's a big choice at the end of Life is Strange, the first game, and this is basically what happens if you make one of those choices over the other. We have Lumberjanes. This is a fun little gay time. It's just about girls in the woods at a girls' camp, and I've only read 4 of them, but I need to continue the series because they're a lot of fun. Mockingbird, this came out a while ago. It's just fun. I bought it because Hawkeye is in it, but he's a hot mess, so he continues to be a hot mess in those books. We have Miss Marvel, which I bought these when this first came out a long time ago, and they're just fun. She's a really cool, like I love this cover. I think it's so pretty. But she's just a fun superhero, and there's a lot of diversity, and I missed one completely. And it's Black Widow back here. Please. I have Rat Queens. This was a really fun comic book series, but then it's kind of like a D&D type thing where an adventuring party just like the town hates them because they trash everything after they go out partying after adventures. They do a lot of drugs, they drink a lot, that kind of thing. Critical Role is mentioned in one of these, but I don't think it actually ended up in the book. I think it was in a issue. It was in an issue, and I think it never actually made into the books. But then they ended up rebooting this because they didn't like the story, where the story was going or something like that. So I stopped reading after that. Then we have Secret Avengers. I think they're coming out with a movie that's Secret Avengers. I bought this mostly because Hawkeye's in it. I was obsessed with Hawkeye like 10 years ago, and so I bought a bunch of things that had him in it. And I mean, they're good. I really like them. We got Serenity. I think I have all the issues for this, but then this is what happens after the movie Serenity, which happens after the TV show Firefly. Okay, then we have Umbrella Academy. This is an excellent show and an excellent graphic novel. If you hated the way they ended Umbrella Academy, maybe pick up the comic books. Okay, then we have The Wicked and the Divine. This is about a series of gods who get reincarnated into mortals. And the mortals lose everything who they are basically, and they become these gods. And I've read it a couple of times, and it seems pretty good, but I haven't read, I think I've only read the first two. X-23, I mentioned in another video that I've been obsessed with X-23 ever since Deadpool and Wolverine. This series came out before that movie did, and it's basically about Laura after she's grown up a little, and now she's in charge of another girl, Gabby, and kind of what that relationship is like. And then of course we have Young Avengers. I have the first 3 books of that. I think they're also making this into a TV show. So yeah, it's kind of just them being hot messes while saving the world. Okay, let's start at the top here. Up here you have my Ellie and my Aerith figure, The Last of Us and Final Fantasy VII. And so we've got some random action figures on this shelf. But this is where I keep all of my smaller books because I just like them more aesthetically on this shelf than on the bigger shelf where they're mixed in with the taller books. So I need to make sure I have them organized by when they came out, but I can never remember the order. There's so many of them. Let's see. Okay, the next series I have is Karen Chance's series. It's basically another vampire werewolf thing. She's a person who can see ghosts, she's clairvoyant and sees the future sometimes and can go into the past and that kind of thing. And she's, I was gonna say a badass, but she's really not. So let's find those ones. Okay, so then we have Karen Chance's other series, which I've only read 3 of. I stopped reading her series after a while just because it all got a little too ridiculous for me. But that's this one. And then I have my little Lottie from Yellow Jackets there. Fits pretty well. Okay, then we have Jawbone from Dimension 20. If you know anything about him, he is a drug-dealing werewolf who is now reformed and is now a guidance counselor at a high school. Have the rest of that series. And then we have the Charlene Harris series that True Blood was based on, the HBO series. It's a lot more innocent than the HBO series is, but okay, now we have the random books. that I have. It should be the rest of them. The bottom level is CDs, if you can see that, because I'm old and I like CDs. Plus, some of these are signed, so I can't get rid of them. I'll fast forward this while I alphabetize, because I'm not the fastest at it. Usually there's not room, so I don't know what I did. And yeah, that shelf is done. Okay, this is my TBR shelf. I'm gonna make a separate video going over all of my TBR, so I'm just gonna organize this and alphabetize it. I do alphabetize by author, just in case I didn't mention that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get that sorted, and I'm not gonna really go into anything. Okay. Here's my big red shelf. These are all books that I've read, graphic novels and things like that. And why is this shaking? So we're gonna go ahead and organize them. I'm gonna have regular books on top, and then down at the bottom, like these bottom two shelves, are gonna be the rest of the novels and then graphic novels. So let's go ahead and get started. I almost feel like I should make a thing for signed books, because I do have a couple of them, and I have my signed CDs in a special place. I just like them to be in their own special area, but I don't know. I think it ruins the alphabetization. Here you have, this is my special box of special things. Just random memories and stuff. I have a jewelry box, a TARDIS that used to spin, but I don't have the batteries for it anymore. And a little piggy bank I got from a reading program in Arizona when I was a kid. Now we're on to the rest of the novels and the graphic novels. So let's get into that. Oh, memoirs. Memoirs and nonfiction, which I don't have a lot of those, so it doesn't really matter. My wife is reading Heartstopper, so she's on book number 2, so we need to leave room for that. Oh no. Only castle in the mirror, you fucked me. This was my problem earlier when I was putting them on the shelves just randomly. I had one book that didn't fit. Let's do a tour, shall we? So I don't keep a lot of my books. I tend to have a tendency to give them away, so a lot of the books that I have are older books that I really liked and I've read a bunch of times. So probably the worst thing that I have on my bookshelves right now is, instead of having Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda, which I thought was just okay, I hate the blackmailing trope, I have Leah off the On Beat, which a lot of people thought was a worse book. but I thought it was cute and I liked the ending. So I do have 13 Reasons Why. I know that's divisive, but as a kid that was really depressed in high school, it actually kind of helped me out a lot. I know that's not the case for a lot of people. Don't read it if you're depressed, because big triggers. Don't read it. Got Six Crows, Sister of the Traveling Pants. This is the Fairy Wars series. I was a big fan of these series when I was in junior high. I went through this phase where if a book didn't have a description on it, I bought it because I was curious about what it was about. So this just has reviews on the back. It doesn't actually tell you what it's about. So I bought it and it was really good. Patricia Briggs, we've been over this ad nauseum. It's a supernatural series. I talked about it with my smaller books. I stopped and started reading it so often that it goes up and down, so they're split into 2 different bookshelves. This is a book about a cult. Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist is beautiful. The movie was okay. I own both of them though. Yoke is probably my favorite book of this year. It's about 2 sisters, and one of them has cancer and is stealing the other's identity. Hunger Games, I only have the first 2 because I thought the third one was trash. The Named is another series that didn't tell me what it was about on the back, so I bought it automatically in junior high, and it ended up being a really good book. I recently reread it, and the writing style is not really for me, but I liked the story enough that I kept it. We have Welcome to Night Vale. If you like the podcast, you probably like the books. You can kind of, if you just suspend your disbelief enough, you'd probably like the books regardless. So I would recommend reading them, even if you know nothing about Welcome to Night Vale, because it's kind of a series where you know nothing about what's going on and you just get context from the books. Sharp Objects, very good book, very good series. On TV, I got some John Green here because who doesn't own John Green? Looking for Alaska was another one of my depressed books that I read a lot in high school. Also, big trigger warning for that one if you're depressed. Neil Yassi, Transcendent Kingdom, is also one of my favorite books of the year. I thought it was really good. Jenny Han's books, To All the Boys I Loved Before and The Summer I Turned Pretty. I don't really like the books very much, but I keep forgetting what happens in the series, so I kept them. Bad Kitty and Kitty Kitty are terrible names for books, but the books are really good. It's about a girl who's just really accident prone and cats love her. And I'll just show you. In the book, it has little comments from her friends, like they're reading the book with her, and it's them making little comments throughout the book. And I love it. I think it's so clever and so fun. Maybe actually. Okay. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a really good author that I love. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is probably one of my favorite books ever, but I don't actually own it. I borrowed it from my sister-in-law. And so I don't actually own it. But this is Daisy Jones and the Six, another really good one. Before the Coffee Gets Cold, everybody knows what that one is. Spines was a podcast about basically if people had superpowers but could do evil with them, and only accidental evil things. And I read the book because it's basically just the podcast in a book, but I didn't want to read the podcast or listen to the podcast again. TJ Klune, I don't know how we feel about him anymore because I know this series is problematic, but I really like the book. So I don't know. Ink and Ashes is a really good book. It is about a girl who is getting weird threats, and I forget. I read this a really long time ago. She's a local author from Salt Lake. But it has a lot of diversity in it. My cat is meowing. She's just screaming. Yeah, and she finds out that her father is a part of the Yakuza. So, that's the whole thing. This is one of my all-time favorite books. I love it so much, despite how terrible the cover is. Named Jacqueline Moriarty wrote some really good books that I liked in junior high. This is one of them. It takes place it's told in letter form, and so it's just people writing letters to each other and emails and stuff, and I am a sucker for those kind of books. I have another Moriarty book that is also in the form of letters. Alice Oseman, everybody knows her from Heartstopper. I have Radio Silence. I think my wife has Solitaire still, but they're really good teen books. I really like them. It's kind of a funny story. It was a book that I loved in junior high as well. Also, big trigger warning if you have depression, but it helped me realize that I had depression to begin with. These books are so fucked up. Let me sit down. These books are about a mysterious drug that they call soy sauce. Not these ones. These ones. I was first interested in it because the first one is called John Dies at the End. It became a really cult hit movie that people kind of loved after it came out, like way after it came out. But there's a lot of weird stuff in it. It's a very weird book series, but I'm fascinated by it. I Am the Messenger is by the guy who wrote The Book Thief. I prefer this one because it's less sad. And then we have memoirs. We have Carrie Fisher's memoirs because I'm fascinated by her and I think she's wonderful. John Green's memoir, or not memoir, nonfiction book, book about autism, Crying in H Mart, everybody knows that one. And then we have graphic novels. We have Hyperbole and a Half. She was really popular on the internet back in like 2010. And then the sequel, all the Critical Role books, which I thought were just okay. I thought that they weren't dragged out enough. I thought that they weren't long enough. I thought that there wasn't enough to give the characters really... Like, I flew through these books. They're just so small, but I had to read them because I wanted to know the origins. This is actually a book I haven't read. My favorite thing is monsters, so I guess this being a red shelf is a lie. Strong Female Protagonist is by Brennan Lee Mulligan, who does Dimension 20, which is my favorite, one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons shows. And so this has a lot of philosophy in it. Scott Pilgrim and Brian Lee O'Malley's other book, Lost at Sea. If you go into it thinking Scott Pilgrim is a good person, you're reading it wrong. Seconds is also a Brian Lee O'Malley book. It's really good. It's about a girl who finds out that she can change certain moments in her life and how that changes her entire life and the lives of people around her. The Adventure Zone is a podcast that got turned into a graphic novel. It's very good. It's very funny. If you've listened to the podcast as many times as I have, you'll recognize that some of the things are different. And like the things they say are different, like the dialogue is different from what they say and it throws you off. Heartstopper, everybody knows what Heartstopper is, so I'm not going to go into detail about that one. We've got Nimona, that became a movie on Netflix, finally. But yeah, it's just about a shape-shifting girl who's helping a supervillain. Check Please is a cute graphic novel about a boy that goes to college to be on the hockey team, but he's afraid to check people. Paper Girls, this is the compendium. This is a story about some girls and they get... I don't know how to describe this. It's a graphic novel where they're paper girls in the 1980s and there's like a mystery and time travel and it's a whole thing. It's very good. Also very sad. Tilly Walden books, I got 2 of them. Her graphic novels are not really my favorite art style. On a Sunbeam is very good. It's about a group of girls and women who go out and fix old dilapidated buildings and architecture. And it also goes back to one of them in her time in high school and a girl that she was in love with. Can I help you? This is the Associated Press style book. I have it from college. It's from 2011. It's not even... I should really throw that up. These are my Pokemon cards. Here's my bookshelf as a whole. And then me. You hear this? She just yells. She's not in pain or anything. She just likes to yell. She's mad because my wife left. It sounded bad. My wife left to go give somebody our desk from our old apartment. She did not leave me. Okay, and that's everything. I have organized all of my bookshelves. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.